Hi, I'm Ron Campise. I was a supervisor with the Scientific Investigation Division in Los Angeles, also known as the CSI unit or Crime Scene Unit. I work nights. This is a story about daytime though, and this story is entitled The Golf Pro versus the Robber with an Interesting Background. On the west side of Los Angeles, this golf pro got home and told where his two little girls, his wife was working, and they were about, I'd say, 5 years old, 5.5. Giggling, and they went in the kitchen, and the first thing the golf pro noticed, something isn't right in this house. Then he noticed that the back patio door was busted open. So he went into the back bedroom, saw his golf clubs were all over the floor. Within a moment, he felt a searing pain to the side of his head. He was hit in the head by one of his own golf clubs. He was hit hard, dropped into his knees. Blood was trickling down the side of his face. And you know what he did? Instead of just being there, he is thinking about his little girls. He looked around. He grabbed his best club, which was an iron. First thing he did, he yelled into the kitchen as loud as he could with his daddy's voice. He said, "Nancy, Chelsea, get out of the house now." And the little girls were shocked. And they got up and they ran screaming out of that house, out the front door. And this robber with the club came after him one more time. It must have looked like a medieval joust. He blocked that hit. He blocked it with that iron. And they were jousting that room. The robber was swinging. He was swinging back. And finally, he took his best shot and he hit that robber as hard as he could in the side with that iron. And the robber, he screamed in pain. And he was still swinging at him. This guy was crapping and pissing all over the place. He had lost control of his bodily functions. The robber was swinging away and the golf pro was blocking the shots. And finally the golf pro said, "I gotta end this." And he yelled at the guy. He goes, "Get out of my house now." And so this guy came at him one last time and he swung that iron as hard as he could. He cleaved his skull right open. And the guy fell with a thump to his knees and fell flat on his face. Little girls went to the neighbor's house, and the neighbors called the police. They were already on their way. The golf pro, he was taken to the hospital, one of the local hospitals, emergency. He's evaluated for what they thought was a concussion because he got hit pretty hard. And later, we arrived. And the first thing the detectives, they had already called me on the radio. They told me, make sure and wear your booties, Ron. They go, "This place is a mess." And sure enough, when I got there, entire living room, I'm going to have to say it frankly, there was shit everywhere, smeared everywhere in that living room. And so I walked in, took care of the house, all the evidence, the detectives that were collecting, documented the entire house. And then finally, we got to the living room. And I got to tell you, that living room, the first thing that hits you is the smell. Crime scenes, they're not pretty sometimes. They're never pretty. To collect more evidence, it was in the robber's pockets. They had a sheet over him, and the RA units, rescue ambulance, they determined he'd be dead, put a sheet over him, a white sheet. So the detective took the sheet off the body, and I looked, photographed the body, and it was not pretty. There was brains leaking out of the skull. The whole house was contaminated. They told me, they go, "Ron, his pockets are full of jewelry, a Rolex watch," that's what we determined, and credit cards and cash. And I looked around and they said, "We got to photograph it." And I looked around and I go, "Where are we going to do this?" And the detective got a bright idea. He said, "Let's put the sheet back on the body and use his back as the backdrop." And so what we did, carefully placed all the items on his back along with a scale and photographed them. The homeowner was released from the hospital, came back, and the first thing the detective told him, "Do not let your family back in that house. It's a mess." He told him, "There's shit and there's piss everywhere." The detective handed him a card, which was a crime scene cleanup service. And he goes, "Have these guys go to the house. It may take all night, and then bring your family back in the morning." I guess the lesson learned from this, if you have no chance anymore, if you think you're in danger like that, sometimes you just have to fight back.